All right, the big boy, the settings. Top to bottom, changes language, opens up stats on startup, hides OBS from capture. I'm not gonna turn that on. Changes which update channel you're on. I don't recommend the beta. It can automatically check for updates on startup. It makes sure you confirm to start streaming or stop streaming or stopping recording. It could automatically record when streaming. It'll keep the recording when stream stops. It'll start a replay buffer with streaming. It'll keep the replay buffer active when the stream stops. It enables sources snapping in this thing. This changes how sensitive the snap is. It can snap to the edge of the screen, other sources, or the vertical and horizontal center if you wish. This can hide your cursor over projectors. This can make projectors always on top. This can save the same projectors so that they open again when you return. And you could limit one projector per screen. You could have this in the system tray. You could minimize it to the tray when it starts, and you could always minimize it to the tray instead of the taskbar. That's down here. There would normally be something here, but I don't have that on because it's honestly useless. This will hide any preview outside of the window. This will make it so the overflow is actually visible. So like, let's say this was bigger than the screen is recording on. It would show that even when it's too big for the canvas. It can draw the safe areas, which does that. That's for cinematography. You don't need it. You can show pixel alignment guides if you need it. This makes it search known locations for scene collections when you import them. Known collections are whatever OBS thinks is a known place. Okay. In multi-view, it allows you to click to switch between the scenes. It allows you to show the scene names. It allows you to draw the safe areas, and it allows you to change how many scenes are in the multi-view. All right, that's general. Appearance, you can change the theme or the style or the font size or how dense it is. I like comfortable, but you can see how that changes it. Font size, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, honestly. All right, that's appearance. Stream can be very different for a lot of different people. It's on custom right now. Service, you could change it to something like, let's say, YouTube. All right, and then you could choose which server you want YouTube to use, and you could connect your account, or you could ignore the recommended bit rates. And then you have all these privacy and policy things. But you really shouldn't ignore this maximum bitrate if it recommends anything. Or, you know, for Twitch, I know they don't actually tell you. Yeah, they don't actually tell you. 6,000 is like the limit for that. Unless you're affiliate, then you get 8,000. But that's not that good. Especially when you see YouTube, who allows 51,000 like it's nothing. Crazy, I know. That's stream. On simple output, this is what you stream at. Now, I know what you're thinking. 17,000 kilobits per second seems like a lot. I generally stream on YouTube. They accept that pretty easily, honestly. It's not even half of what they accept. But for something like Twitch, you'll want to use 6,000. In fact, you can see the recommendations there. Well, the maxes at least. And the recommendation for YouTube because, yeah, it allows a lot, but most people can't run that. And I can't really recommend anything else beyond that because I don't know what other things accept. Anyways, your audio bitrate, you should generally keep it right there. Like, you can have it higher, you can have it higher quality, but in streaming, usually things just don't accept higher at all. YouTube doesn't accept higher than this. Twitch doesn't accept higher than this. I don't even know what accepts higher than this. The encoder. Do not use software. This is like, just no. It performs pretty garbage considering everything. And it like nothing really uses it. It doesn't take advantage of anything, which is why you'd want to use a hardware thing. Now NVENC, that's for NVIDIA cards. AMD has theirs called AMD HW, and it's generally looked worse, until recently though, with the 9000 series. But you know, H.264 is what most people choose for streaming. HevC looks better, it's just harder to run. QSV is Intel's on their CPUs with an integrated GPU, and just their straight up GPUs. It doesn't look that amazing, but it's not that intensive either. So honestly, I do use it. Trying to run NVENC with either of these at this much is pretty hard, but QSV handles it like a champ, you know? So if you can run H.265 or HevC, then fine, but usually for streaming you'll want H.264 just because it's easier to run. And then you'll usually have encoder presets here. I usually choose quality. You can enable advanced settings, but do you know any advanced settings that you need to type in? Probably not. Well. You also might have AV1 here. AV1 is, I'm pretty sure, as efficient as QSV, but I don't think it's like the same thing as QSV or NVENC. No, it's on this side with H.264 and HevC. So use it if you can. It looks good, it's efficient, and it's pretty high quality at low bit rates. I know Twitch doesn't support it. Well, maybe they might, but it's Twitch. When have they ever supported anything good? You know? And you can change the audio encoder, but you will probably only have AAC, and that's all you really should use, because usually other things aren't supported at all. The recording path is where everything's going to be located once it's done recording. You could generate the file name without a space. Recording quality, in simple, you get high, indistinguishable, and lossless. In order, they get higher in file size. Indistinguishable looks pretty good, so that's what I use normally. But in advanced, I have to record in advance to show off advanced. But usually I just use simple because, well, it does everything I need. Recording format, you could change what file type you can use. MKV, just the basic one, is probably best to use because you can recover those the easiest. If an MP4 gets corrupted, you're not really going to be able to recover it as easily, if at all. I was able to recover an MKV from quite a while ago. Remember Punch Out? That first episode was broken for a while and I didn't know how to fix it. I used VLC to fix it, and all the audio tracks were there, all the recording was there. It worked because I could recover it from MKV. In recording the video encoder, use HevC here now, because you're not streaming, it doesn't take as much. Or, use AV1 if you have it. I don't have it. I only have HevC. Audio encoder, pretty much the same, but you might have Opus now. It's not worth it, honestly. Most things don't accept Opus audio, so just stick with AAC. Audio tracks. How many audio tracks will be recorded? You can only have up to 6. I'm sure with a plugin you could probably get more, but I don't know any, nor do I have a reason to use any, because I only ever need 3. Custom muxer settings. That remux thing we talked about earlier in file. Yeah, you could have it use custom settings. Replay buffer, it basically allows you to get clips from OBS. That's pretty much all it does. In advanced, you're gonna hear me talk about how it adds a delay. So, just remember this is correct, not that later thing. And that is pretty much it. I mean, you could adjust how long the replay is and how much memory it can be allowed to use. That's pretty it. Okay, in streaming advanced, you can have different audio tracks. You could choose the different ones for what stream's gonna end up using. For the rescale output, you can rescale it here, because in simple, you can't do that. Rate control. Oh gee, I wonder what it lets you change. You can see in the document what these do and what they're recommended for, if anything. Target usage is similar to encoder preset from basic. It just gives you more control. And same for profile. You should treat it similarly. keyframe interval lets you change how often video frames are sent. So you could have them sent every 1 second or 10 seconds. I don't know why you'd use it, honestly. Latency determines how close to real time stream is. Low is recommended, just so you can interact with chat. Because if you're not interacting with chat, why are you streaming? B frames changes how many frames it references to compress stream quality better. You can also rescale output for recordings, and it works generally the same. I'm not fully sure why you'd use it, other than I guess file size. But truly, you could just use this video tab to record it at a certain quality. Automatic file splitting. It's you force a recording to split at a certain time, a certain file size, or just manually with a hotkey. Why you'd want to use it, I'm not fully sure, I guess. Multi-pass mode. It uses 2 passes for a frame to make it look better. Now usually it's at a quarter resolution, but you could have it at full resolution, or maybe even more quality. I don't know. Look ahead makes it so it looks ahead in the recording to determine how it should distribute the bitrate. It's only on NVIDIA though. Adaptive quantization adjusts, which areas to compress to improve the quality without increasing the bitrate. I'm not sure why I'm recording in advanced, I'll be honest. You can adjust each track's name or bitrate in advanced. Audio sample rate. 48 kilohertz is recommended, or over 44.1, just because it sounds better. It's how high quality will your audio be, Yeah. Channels. You're probably only ever going to need stereo. The only thing that benefits from mono audio is mics, but you can just manually set that in advanced audio properties, so it's not really needed. You can have global audio devices, but they will not transfer to other scene collections, so they're not really global. That's honestly kind of lame. I don't know why it's like that. Why does it even say global if it's not actually global? And yeah, you can have desktop audio or a mic be global across the scene, just so you don't have to keep adding it and adding different filters to it. I guess, it's whatever, but still, it's not good. The decay rate of the meters are these things right here. It's how fast it decays. That's it. Peak meter type, true peak. It's a little higher CPU usage, but it's really not that much better than sample peak, which changes the colors to that, and that's bad because it makes you think. It's the default. It makes you think, oh, I shouldn't be in the red at all. I shouldn't even be in the yellow. But no, it's fine to be here. It's definitely fine to be here. It's not fine to be above 0 constantly. That's where, it's not good to be. The monitoring device. It's what you hear audio through. So like if you want to use, I don't know, your speakers on your monitor to monitor stuff, then yeah, you can do that. This is just for something else. Don't bother caring about whatever the heck this is. Disable Windows audio ducking. It makes it so it doesn't lower your game audio when you're speaking. So you should have this on. Low latency audio buffering mode. Well, yeah, it gives better latency to the audio and sync, but your hardware has to support it. Hotkeys. You can enable push to mute or push to talk and have a delay on it with a hotkey, which we'll get into a little later. Another reason to not use desktop audio is I'm pretty sure it'll be your monitored device will be heard, assuming desktop audio is on the same thing, at least. Maybe not. Audio output capture. That'll definitely hear it if it's the same. But again, it's just lazy to use that, so why even bother? Video. Your base canvas resolution. it should generally be the same as your monitor. But if for some reason you're running a 4K monitor but only want to record in 1080p, then yeah, you change it here. The output resolution is what stream or recording gets. Like this should be the same as your highest quality monitor, but this is where you'd actually change the resolution of it if you wanted to. I don't know why you'd have a whole 4K monitor but not record in 4K. 8K, okay, fine, but who has that? And you could change how good the scaling looks. But if it's the same, then you don't gotta use this. And then you can change the FPS that everything records or streams at. 60 is what most people will use. There's not much of a reason to record in 120. Like if you're having a whole slow motion camera recording at thousands of frames per second, I guess, but why are you using OBS for that? Hotkeys, I will not be going through all of these, but I mean seriously. But yeah, it gives you hotkeys for a bunch of different things if you want it. Accessibility, it allows you to change the colors of, you know, something like the mixer band right here. So if you want to change the yellow to green, maybe the green to yellow, the red to black, yeah, you can do it here. You could even change it to fit your color blindness. They have default ones. Look at that. Yep, see? You probably see that better if you're colorblind. Or have a custom one, at least. Process priority determines how Windows, normally at least, will handle this. If it's high, it'll treat this as the highest priority thing to handle. You know, below normal or idle, it's not gonna really do anything with OBS. Normal is perfectly fine, okay? This will show you a warning if you're recording or streaming. Render is what DirectX version it uses to, well, render the video. You're probably only gonna have 11, but I don't know, maybe 12 released, if at all. That'll probably be better. You can change the color format. Obviously I can't during a video. If your recording software supports it, i4 can give you really high quality stuff. And even especially for like pixelated games. If you want those sharp pixels, i4 can give it, but if you're using DaVinci Resolve, no, it doesn't support i4. You should only ever use 8-bit video. Unless you're like a cinematographer, then yeah, okay, fine. Color space determines the amount of the colors you can actually use. sRGB is recommended for most. Color range, how much of it it'll use. For example, full is 0 to 255, limited uses 16 to 235, just so blacks won't be like complete and total darkness and whites won't be so blindingly bright. SDR white level allows you to change how bright white is. The default of 300 is fine, and HDR does kind of the same thing, but for HDR. Most people won't use this though. If you are using it, then yeah, you probably already know what to do for that. File name formatting. If for some reason you need to change this to change how the file name actually works, then yeah. Here, look, see? You have a bunch of different options for what it could be named for. Overwrite if file exists will obviously overwrite a file if it already exists as the same name. Let's say for some reason you don't have hours, minutes, and seconds on the same thing. Why? Look, just don't have this on. You probably want to keep whatever you're recording just as this. No. You probably don't want to overwrite whatever you recorded with the same name in the same day, I'm assuming. God, if you're only using the month to name it, that's just weird. Or year. You can have it automatically remixed to MP4 if for some reason your software only supports .mp4. And yeah, that's good to have on, but MKV is still generally better. And DaVinci Resolve is probably the best you can do for free, I'm pretty sure. So there's not much of a reason to change it to MP4, unless you're using some lame software that only supports it. replay buffer file name prefix just adds whatever's in here to the replay buffer. You can have a prefix or a suffix, whichever. Stream delay. Sorry for making that mistake in advance. Output. This is what actually adds a delay to your stream. You can turn it on, you can change how long it is, and you can preserve a cutoff point when you have to reconnect. Automatically reconnect. That's pretty much as it says. You can turn it on, you can have it retry in whatever amount of time, and you can change how many times it'll actually do it. IP family. If for some reason the default of IPv4 and IPv6 isn't correct for you, you could have it be only one of those. But generally you should leave it as default. Bind to IP makes it so your PC only uses one IP. For streaming, I'm guessing. But I don't think it generally makes sense to use that. Again, unless you're trying to connect to one specific thing and you know you need to, but you probably don't. You most definitely don't. It's in advanced settings for a reason. Dynamically change bitrate to manage congestion. Does exactly what it says. Remember, dynamic bitrates are not good for stream, so probably don't use this, honestly. And it's also a beta feature. Not much of a reason to use it. Enable network optimizations allows you to have enabled TCP pacing on or off. Doesn't actually do anything on its own. Enable TCP pacing spreads large data bursts when you're streaming over time, so the traffic of your Wi-Fi isn't as full. Enable browser source hardware acceleration. Does exactly as it says. Yeah, you should generally have this on. Hardware acceleration for browsers is very helpful, and it doesn't really take up that much anymore nowadays with regular PCs. Hotkeys. You can change how the behavior of them works. You can disable them when the window is in focus or not in focus, or just always have them on with never disable hotkeys.